In the quiet expanse of the cosmos, there exists a serenity that few ever truly witness. Stars glitter like scattered diamonds across a velvet canvas, their light taking centuries to reach the eyes of those brave enough to sail between them. Amidst this stillness, a lone vessel, the Starwood Echo, drifted through space on a mission no one had dared to accept before. Captain Arlen Voss stood at the forefront of the bridge, a wide, transparent viewport stretching before him. His gaze moved across the endless darkness, tracing the cold glimmer of distant stars. All seemed still, the kind of stillness that made even seasoned spacefarers uneasy. The crew carried out their duties with practiced precision, yet an unspoken tension clung to them, like a thin mist. Suddenly, a sharp tone pierced the quiet, followed by the urgent voice of Ensign Calla Dorn. "Captain, incoming signal. It is ancient. It should not exist." Captain Voss turned to face her, his brow furrowed. On screen now. The screen flickered to life, displaying a ragged, distorted transmission. The image was hazy, as if aged beyond its years, yet one phrase was unmistakably clear. "They are coming. The humans must charge." The words echoed across the bridge, hanging in the air like a challenge. The crew exchanged uncertain looks, each individual processing the meaning behind the desperate message. It was not a call for assistance. It was a call to action. Captain Voss's heart pounded. A message this old, in this part of space, could mean only one thing. Something ancient had awakened. The captain stepped closer to the main console, his voice low but steady. "Where is the origin of this message?" Calla's fingers danced over the controls. "It originates from the Velan Rift, sir. A sector that was sealed off generations ago. No one has entered it in over 200 years." The crew's collective breath seemed to hitch. The Velan Rift was a name spoken only in old training records and forgotten war stories. It was a place where ships vanished without a trace, and legends of an unseen enemy had turned into myths over time. "Who sent it?" asked Lieutenant Jorankale, leaning in. "Is there a ship's identification attached to the signal?" Calla shook her head, her expression tense. "Negative, sir. No modern vessel could have sent this. The signal format predates our current communication systems by centuries." A hush fell over the room as the realization sank in. Was it possible that someone, or something, was still out there? The mystery clawed at their minds. Questions piled upon questions. Why now? What were they meant to charge against? Could an ancient enemy still endure in the darkness of space after so long? Captain Voss made his decision. His voice rang with a command that left no room for debate. "Helm, set a course for the Velan Rift. Prepare the ship for immediate jump." The crew sprang into action, though unease lingered in every movement. No one spoke of the dangers, but it was felt in the hurried taps of controls and the tense, watchful glances as the ship prepared for faster-than-light travel. Ensign Calla's console emitted a soft alert. A faint energy signature had appeared near the origin of the message, one that should have been impossible. It pulsed irregularly, as though something ancient and dying was trying to draw attention one last time. "Captain," Calla called out, her voice tight, "I am detecting an anomaly within the rift. I cannot identify it, but it is alive." Captain Voss narrowed his eyes. "A ship?" Calla shook her head slowly. "No, sir. Not a ship. Something else." The bridge fell silent again. It was the kind of revelation that turned the blood cold and made the space between heartbeats feel like hours. Without hesitation, Captain Voss spoke firmly. "We proceed. Engage jump drive." In a burst of light, the Starwood Echo leapt through the vast distances of space, stars stretching into white streaks as the ship pierced the veil between known space and the forbidden sector. The crew clung to their consoles, hearts racing as the ship exited faster-than-light travel directly into the heart of the Velan Rift. The scene before them was unlike anything they had expected. An ancient battlefield drifted silently in space. Wreckage of old human warships floated alongside alien vessels of impossible design. Twisted metal, Shattered hulls and ghostly remnants of a forgotten war surrounded them. The mysterious anomaly pulsed ahead, a colossal, organic structure resembling a cathedral of living stone. Its surface shimmered in hues unseen by human eyes, and strange symbols danced across its surface. "Magnify," Voss commanded. The viewport zoomed in, revealing what seemed to be figures embedded within the structure's walls. Human figures, their faces contorted in eternal defiance, weapons clutched tightly in hands that would never let go. It was a relic of the past, a memory of a time when humanity had stood against something incomprehensible. Captain Voss felt a fierce sense of pride swell within him. Their ancestors had faced this terror, and though the records had been lost, their courage remained. The message was clear. It was time to charge again. "Prepare weapons," Voss declared, "and ready a boarding party. We are about to uncover what our history tried to forget." The crew moved, the earlier fear replaced by determination. They would honor the charge of those who came before, even if it meant facing the unknown. As the ship moved forward, the anomaly's pulse quickened, as if it too recognized what was about to come. The void of space held many mysteries. Some shone like distant suns, easy to observe and marvel at from a safe distance. Others lingered in the dark places between stars, hidden and patient, waiting for those bold enough to uncover them. On board the human vessel Vanguard's Reach, a sense of quiet unease filled the ship as it drifted through an uncharted nebula, its lavender and cobalt mists swirling like the hands of forgotten gods. Suddenly, something enormous appeared ahead. At first, the ship's sensors struggled to register it. The object was so still, so perfectly blended with the surrounding void that it almost seemed invisible. But as the mist shifted, its shape revealed itself, a derelict station of massive size, half buried in space dust and debris. Its outer structure bore no markings, no identifiers, and no signal beacons. It floated as if abandoned by time itself. The crew stared in silence as the station's silhouette grew on the main viewport. It was unlike any space station recorded in human archives. Towering spires, circular ring sections, and a strange, shimmering energy field surrounded it. The structure gave off no light, yet it radiated an undeniable presence, one that sent an instinctive chill through every person on board. Captain Saria Dren broke the silence. "This station is not listed in any star maps, old or current." The communications officer, Lieutenant Renard Hale, checked his monitors again, confirming her statement. "There are no records of this structure, Captain. It should not exist." The bridge officers exchanged uncertain glances, curiosity growing in their expressions. What was this place? Who built it? And why had no one spoken of it before? Navigator Elin Moreau spoke up, her voice soft with awe. "Captain, the design is not entirely unfamiliar. Some of those patterns etched into its surface, they resemble symbols discovered in ancient Earth ruins, long before humanity even reached the stars." A murmur passed through the bridge. The thought that this colossal station might be connected to their distant past ignited a flame of fascination in the hearts of the crew. Was this a relic of humanity's forgotten ancestors? Or was it the work of another species that had walked the stars before humans? Captain Dren stepped closer to the viewport. The sense of mystery deepened with every passing second. She could not shake the feeling that this station was waiting for them, as though it had been left behind for a purpose only now meant to be fulfilled. Without warning, the ship's sensors activated an alert. A faint, rhythmic pulse emanated from within the station. It was not mechanical, nor was it a communication frequency. It felt alive, a slow, steady beat, like the pulse of a great sleeping heart. Lieutenant Hale's voice tightened. "Captain, the station is emitting an energy signature. It just appeared. It was completely dormant until we approached." Captain Dren's brow furrowed. "Is it a trap?" "I cannot tell," Hale admitted. "The readings are unstable, but it is responding to us." The pulse increased slightly in tempo, as if aware of their presence. Lights flickered across the station's exterior, pale blue strips of illumination igniting along its spires and rings. It looked less like a derelict ruin now, and more like a colossal machine awakening after centuries of slumber. "Captain," Navigator Elin said, swallowing hard, "I am detecting movement within the station." The entire crew tensed. The idea that something might still be inside, something ancient and unknown, sent a shiver through them all. The tension was thick enough to feel in the air, and even the seasoned veterans aboard felt the weight of unspoken dread. "Whatever it is," Captain Dren said quietly, "it is watching us now." Captain Dren straightened and gave her command without hesitation. "Prepare a boarding party. We're going in." The crew responded with swift precision. It was dangerous, but the thirst for discovery and duty outweighed fear. A team of 6, clad in reinforced exploration suits, made their way to the ship's drop bay. Among them was Lieutenant Hale, eager to see for himself what mysteries lay within, and Dr. Valia Lynn, the ship's chief xenologist, whose entire life had been dedicated to studying the unknown. As the boarding shuttle detached from Vanguard's reach, the station's outer ring opened like a mouth, revealing a dark docking corridor. The pulse intensified, steady and almost expectant. It felt less like an invitation and more like an unavoidable summons. The shuttle docked, and the boarding party stepped into the station's interior. The first thing they noticed was the air. It existed, perfectly breathable and fresh, as though the life support systems had never failed. Soft blue light lined the walls, and intricate symbols covered every surface. Dr. Lynn's voice crackled through the communicator. "These are human symbols, but they are older than any written language ever documented." As they ventured deeper, they passed through immense halls filled with towering statues of figures that appeared both human and alien. Their faces were solemn, their eyes made of a gemstone-like material that shimmered softly in the dim light. Lieutenant Hale approached a central chamber, where a single device sat upon a raised platform. It resembled a control console, though its form was unlike any modern design. Its surface came to life as his hand hovered near it, casting patterns of light into the air. This was built for us," Hale whispered. Dr. Lynn nodded slowly. "Or by us, long before we became what we are now." A series of holographic images appeared, displaying ancient battles fought in space, humanity standing alongside unknown allies against shadowy forms that defied description. The final image showed this very station as a beacon, a place of final refuge, or perhaps the last stand of a war that history had long since buried. Captain Dren's voice came through the communicator. "What do you see?" "Answers," Hale replied, his voice steady and resolute. "And a message. It is time for humanity to remember who it was meant to be." As the boarding team prepared to transmit their findings, the station's pulse quickened again. Something deeper within its core stirred. The ancient beacon had been lit once more, and whatever it was meant to awaken would not remain asleep for long. Underscore 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 underscore. The boarding team moved deeper into the heart of the ancient station. Their footsteps echoed against cold metallic floors, though no sound should have carried in the thin, recycled atmosphere. Strange patterns flickered along the walls, symbols that no known language could identify. Every corner seemed to pulse with a silent, expectant energy, as though the very walls were alive and aware of their presence. As they entered what appeared to be a vast central chamber, the team came to an abrupt stop. Before them stood a towering figure encased in crystalline material. It resembled human, but its uniform was of an unknown design. The man's face was calm, his hands resting on the hilt of a weapon that gleamed faintly within the crystal. Despite the passing of countless years, the figure appeared untouched by time. A low hum filled the chamber, and a console beside the crystalline tomb illuminated. Symbols translated into familiar words, and a message scrolled slowly across the display. If you are reading this, then the silence has stirred. The humans charged once, and though we fell, our defiance endures. You must finish what we began. The message was brief, yet it struck a chord within every member of the team. The idea that someone had waited centuries for this moment, for someone like them, made the air feel heavy with responsibility. Dr. Valia Lynn stepped closer, her gloved hand brushing the edge of the ancient console. "Who was he?" she asked softly, her voice filled with wonder. Lieutenant Jaren Kell examined the figure's uniform, noting faded insignia and unfamiliar emblems. "There is no record of any force like this in human history," he replied. "Yet he is human, no doubt about it." The team exchanged glances, their minds racing with possibilities. Was this man a soldier from a lost era? An ancestor who had fought a war long erased from human memory? And if so, what was this silence he had spoken of in the message? The questions multiplied. Why had history forgotten this battle? Who had built this colossal station? And why had it waited so long to reveal itself? Without warning, the lights in the chamber dimmed. A vibration passed through the floor, subtle but unmistakable. The boarding party instinctively raised their weapons, scanning their surroundings. Lieutenant Kell's communicator crackled. "Captain Dren to away team. We are detecting a power surge within the station. It is increasing exponentially." The team's heartbeat quickened. The station, silent for centuries, was awakening. The crystalline encasement surrounding the ancient figure began to crack, thin lines forming like fractures in glass. A soft, melodic chime filled the air, unlike any alarm or alert the team had heard before. Dr. Lin's voice was hushed. "Something is happening. This is no coincidence. The station is responding to our presence." A bright pulse of light radiated from the console, casting shifting patterns across the chamber walls. The ancient symbols glowed, revealing hidden passages and chambers that had been invisible only moments earlier. "Orders, sir," one of the soldiers asked, tension in his voice. Lieutenant Kell made his decision. "We hold our position. Weapons ready. No sudden moves." As the crystalline encasement shattered completely, the figure within slowly opened his eyes. The man took a deep breath, as though awakening from a long and restless sleep. His gaze was sharp, filled with awareness and a quiet, unyielding strength. He looked at the boarding party without fear, then spoke in a voice steady and clear, though the language was ancient. The station's translation systems activated immediately, rendering his words understandable. "I am Commander Orion Hale," he declared. "Who commands this vessel now?" Lieutenant Kell stepped forward. "I am Lieutenant Jaren Kell of the human vessel Vanguard's Reach. We came responding to a signal." The ancient commander nodded, his expression both grave and resolute. "Then you are here at the right time." The silence stirs once more. "You must be prepared." Before the team could question him further, a loud, mechanical groan reverberated through the chamber. The holographic map of the station flickered into life, displaying the surrounding regions of space. Red markers appeared along the edges of the map, indicating unknown incoming objects moving rapidly toward their location. Commander Hale moved swiftly to the control console, his hands working with practiced ease despite the centuries that had passed. "They have found us," he said calmly. "We must activate the defenses." Lieutenant Kell exchanged a glance with Dr. Lin. "What is coming?" The silence. Hale replied without hesitation. "A force that devours light, sound, and memory itself. It is the enemy your ancestors swore to face, even if history forgot their stand." The boarding team felt the weight of those words settle over them. It was not merely a battle for survival. It was a continuation of a promise made long before they were born. "Prepare your ship," Hale ordered. "The charge begins again, and this time we finish it." The team relayed the message to Vanguard's Reach, the ship's crew immediately readying weapons and shields. The ancient station's defense systems powered up for the first time in centuries. Ancient weapons humming to life, their purpose unchanged. As the unknown threats closed in, the boarding party and their newly awakened allies stood firm, ready to honor the defiance of those who had come before, and to ensure their yells of defiance would echo across the vacuum once more. Underscore 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 underscore. The ancient station's walls seemed to pulse in response to the awakening activity inside. Soft light patterns flowed across the metallic surfaces like ripples upon a pond. The boarding party stood alongside Commander Orion Hale, the long-forgotten soldier of a war erased by time. Despite the centuries that separated them, an undeniable bond of purpose had formed in the room. Suddenly, the station's main viewport shimmered to life, revealing the dark expanse beyond. The distant stars appeared calm and motionless, but then, out of the shadows, something began to form. A vast, shape-shifting mass emerged from the depths of space. It was not a ship in any familiar sense, nor was it a fleet. It was an immense, fluid darkness, darker than the void itself. As it moved, light seemed to vanish into it, absorbed entirely, without any sensors or warnings. The presence of this entity filled every mind aboard the station and the ship orbiting nearby. It was as though the very emptiness of space had taken shape, becoming aware of those who had disturbed its rest. A voice, neither mechanical nor natural, spoke directly into their thoughts, not in words, but in layered feelings and fragmented memories. It was both alien and ancient, carrying the echoes of forgotten screams and endless night. "You woke us," the echoes called. "The charge begins anew." The room's air felt heavier, and every person present instinctively understood. This was the silence, the entity against which humanity's ancestors had once fought. Dr. Valia Lynn took an uneasy step toward the viewport, her eyes searching the void for understanding. "What is it really?" she asked, her voice soft and strained. Commander Hale, his face somber yet composed, answered her. "It is not a creature, nor a simple force of nature. It is the absence of memory, the void where history is erased. It consumes the essence of what exists, light, sound, and even the stories of those it claims. That is why no records remained of our first war. It devours not only life, but the memory of that life." The boarding party stared in silence as the entity moved slowly, the void around it rippling as if the fabric of reality itself resisted its presence. The sheer concept of such a being, one that could erase the past and leave no trace, was beyond comprehension. "Then how did anyone survive it before?" Lieutenant Kell asked. Commander Hale's gaze did not waver. "By standing together, by charging at it with defiance. It cannot claim those whose voices remain strong. That was the lesson of the first charge." As the crew processed these revelations, the entity began to expand. Its surface shimmered with countless fragments, echoes of voices, images of forgotten ships, and faces of those long lost. It absorbed memories as easily as light. The station's defense systems, ancient though they were, detected the growing threat. Warning lights flashed across the control panels, and a new alert scrolled across the screens. "Entity breach in 2 minutes." Commander Hale spoke quickly. "We must activate the defensive grid. It will not destroy the silence, but it can delay its approach." Lieutenant Kell relayed the command to the Vanguard's Reach, whose captain immediately responded, ordering all weapon systems brought online. The station's ancient weapons hummed as power surged through them for the first time in centuries. A strange, rising tone filled the chamber as the weapons prepared to fire. It was the same sound that had accompanied the final battle so long ago, a battle no one remembered, but whose echoes remained. Yet, as the systems powered up, a final warning appeared on the screen. "Defense sequence incomplete. Missing authorization. Commander Hale grimaced. It requires a voice from the past. Only a soldier from the original charge can fully activate the station's weapons. Without hesitation, Commander Hale placed his hand upon the console. His voice rang out, steady and unwavering. Commander Orion Hale, initiating the charge. The station's lights brightened, and a cascade of power rippled through the ancient structure. Outside, the weapons arrays aligned and locked onto the silence. Beams of pure, focused energy, brighter than any star, fired from the station's defense grid, striking the entity's form. The dark mass recoiled, its surface rippling as the energy made contact. It did not scream, for it had no mouth, but the entire station shuddered as the void creature responded. On the Vanguard's reach, the crew cheered as the ancient weapon struck true, their systems recording the impossible event. Commander Hale turned to the boarding team. This is only the beginning. The silence will return, but now it knows that humanity remembers. Lieutenant Kell nodded, his expression determined. Then we will be ready. The final scene closed with both station and ship standing firm in the face of the ancient darkness, their weapons charged, their voices united. For in space, courage endures through the echoes of defiance, and the humans charged once more. In the void of space, courage is not measured by numbers, but by the will to charge into the unknown. And so, the humans charged, their voices becoming eternal echoes in the tapestry of the stars.